Yeah, just say, like...
Disclaimer?
I could do a disclaimer.
Viewer discretion advised.
Viewer discretion advised. This is not an endangered story. This is the story about how endangered stories is endangered. No, something, I don't know.
Something like that.
So, first of all, who are you?
Like a deep answer or just like a Jason Bolanis?
Yeah, who are you?
I'm Jason Bolanis. I'm a husband and I'm a father of 5. I live in the West Island. I grew up in the West Island. I moved out for a little bit, but then when I got married, I came back to the West Island. And my father had businesses in the West Island. I have pretty much only worked in the West Island. West Island through and through. School, swimming, activities. Yeah, even went to John Abbott, Concordia.
How did this whole thing start?
I do video marketing as a profession, and to make sure that myself and my staff's creative muscles are always kind of warmed up to deal with any kind of creative challenge that we have, we created a series. And we did that series for about 6 months, and in the middle of that series, we accidentally fell upon a completely different subject matter. And that subject matter was dealing with the history of something about the West Island. I didn't think anything of it. It just fell into the series that we were doing. And then when we put that video up that dealt with the history of the West Island, it exploded. Because of that video that had that historical context in it, and because there was such a huge response to it, from a generation who grew up in the West Island who were responding as if this type of romance had never been celebrated before. I said, okay, well, I'm curious. I kept digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, and I kept finding these cool little nuggets from when I was a kid or when the baby boomer generations were kids and before. And then I kept accumulating and accumulating and accumulating, and I thought, well, what am I gonna do with all this stuff? You know, I keep researching it because I'm genuinely very curious. We said, well, let's release it. We need to release it. It needs to be organized. It needs to be themed. And we named it Endangered Stories. My wife came up with the name after, going back and forth for what seemed like 5 hours on exactly what these stories are. It's social history. It's not so much who was the mayor at a certain time or when did the trade tracks come in. That's the history that could be in history books. This is social history. So this is very experience-based. This is history where nostalgia comes from. It's the nostalgia that people are most interested in reliving, yet coincidentally is the history that is not found in history books. So that is endangered because nostalgia exists in someone's mind. And once that mind is gone, then the stories are gone. And then what we're left with is boring history that we learned in high school about who was the mayor and that there was the war because of this political reason. And so they changed these borders and we're remembering dates and it's okay.
I get it. Okay, so.
It sounds like a template answer.
Now, why are we here? What happened last week? Why are we doing this?
Okay, well, I haven't done one of these videos yet. And I narrate the videos, I tell the stories, but I haven't really come out too much on why I'm doing this, who I am, and I let myself down last week. Today's March 16th, so last Saturday was the first Saturday since the first Saturday of 2022 that I did not release an endangered story. Now, why does that matter? This is a passion project. I don't make any money doing this. The business side of things, if it gets too busy, that's priority. And what happened was things came to a head and I got too busy on one side and I tried desperately to finish the video for last Saturday. I was up very late and I just kept falling asleep.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna cut you off. Let's put in perspective for the people who are just watching this, who don't really know what goes into this. I know because I see it at the house. You are a videographer, you do this stuff for a living, you are working with clients constantly, and at the same time you have a passion project. And when this gets done, well, late at night, And overnight sometimes, you're working, whether it's at the house or in the office, you're up until like 2 a.m. Sometimes trying to get this done. So let's just put that into perspective. Now, keep going.
I am really married. There is actually someone here. This is not overdubbed. Although I'm doing one a week and releasing one a week, in between all of the work that I'm doing for clients, you know, when the kids are asleep or before they wake up in the morning or when I'm in the bathroom, a lot of that time is spent researching and writing because these stories are hard to find. This past Friday, I just couldn't do it.
You fell asleep at your computer.
I fell asleep and you were saying, you know, you're going to be so happy. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And I think, and I've been there before, but this Friday, I just said I can't do it. And I fell asleep and I said, I'm going to be okay with it. I'm going to be okay with it.
And you were not.
I pushed as much as I could and I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's next? Are you going to continue to do them? Did you let yourself down? Are you going to stop?
So this is what I was afraid was going to happen, happened. I missed the week. I felt that, you know, the world didn't end. Y2K did not happen. I thought, okay, well, this is another busy week. Maybe I'll do one every other week, or I'll do one when I have a really good story. And then I just made more and more and more excuses. And that's when I said that cannot happen. It has to be one a week. If you saw the list of stories that I have to write and release, it is a pretty long list. Just in development, I have 26 stories that I'm currently writing. That being said, I'm thinking that I'm gonna push it a little differently. Yes, once a week on Facebook. However, I have accumulated a ton of content because of these videos, and because it was all for Facebook, a lot of it ended up on the cutting room floor, if I can use an old term. I wanted them to be short videos for Facebook, but a lot of the first cuts are like 10 minutes or longer, sometimes 20 minutes. So I'm thinking about going back to those videos, grabbing all that great content, and releasing a lot of that stuff, not on Facebook, but on YouTube. So it's kind of an encouragement for you to go to YouTube and subscribe. Everything that'll be on YouTube will be on Facebook, but not everything that's on Facebook will be on, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. Everything on Facebook will be on YouTube, but not everything on YouTube will be on Facebook.
Right. So what's next? How do we keep it alive?
I'll tell you what I would want to do more than keep it alive. I would want to make it just a more developed thing. I've done a lot of interviews, but the more interviews that I do, the more that people contact me to say that they have a mother, a relative, there's someone on their street and so on who's in their 90s and who needs to be interviewed. That's a lot of resources, it's a lot of time, but I want to do every single one of them. Every single one of them, I want to go to the house and I want to do a long form interview with everybody because everybody's got a different story. Everybody's story is a piece of the puzzle that is this incredible social history that is the West Island. And I'm terrified that within 10 years, these stories are going to be gone. And these are stories that connect us to the initial development of this suburban area that we love so much. So I would love to do more of them. However, that's time away from my paid clients. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I've been doing this for over a year. How could I start to make some money from this paid stuff? And one of the ways is to be to make some earnings off of YouTube. Although it's a kind of a small subject matter, and I know there are millions of people that live in the West Island, it could be something that starts on YouTube is to be what's the word?
Monetized.
To be monetized. The second I get monetized on YouTube, it'll push me to do more stories, maybe more broad stories that will connect to a bigger audience. The other, of course, is if anybody's watching these and you see that they're getting a lot of hits, they're getting a lot of attention, and you own a business, let's do a sponsorship. Let's start putting some business names to these videos. I mean, as long as I agree with the product that you do and you do good work, I'd love to put your name on these videos, especially if if you feel that you're not sure about how to market your own business or how to reach a wider audience, and you see that I have an audience that might be bigger than the one that you're getting on your channel. By all means, reach out to me. Or maybe we scrap that whole idea and maybe someone out there's got a good idea for something that I could do. Is it a paid subscription somehow? Is it a Patreon that I start? I'm up for anything. There's one thing that's for sure. There's a ton of content, both not only video, but it's documents and just anything and everything to put out there. So I'm open to anything, really. The passion's there. It's just, I'm spending all my time trying to write the stories. I can't spend a lot of time on how to turn this into a primary business, potentially. So I'm all ears.